didn't know how to figure this out, how to put it out there, and the pressure, I think, of putting content out there is quite a lot. Um, Running your kind of commercial side of business and then starting something else, and then I'm also starting something else with a good friend of mine, Chris Stewart, Local Heroes. It's quite a pressure on life, as well as having a family, and I'm caring for my mom, and it's just, that's part of me, part of my story, which at some point I know I've mentioned I might get into at some point, and loads of people have been asking as well. So yeah, I'm going to have to sit in the hot seat. But I have promised Craig Tampton he can interview me first time. So yeah, let's get you on, Craig. Let's see what you can do. And no doubt I'll be sitting in tears in about 10 minutes. But the reason why I wanted to start Storyland is because I meet so many people every day with a unique story, and it's their journey through life, which I think we can all kind of relate to in a way, and build a space for the community to share their stories. So somebody out there who's going through something, this could help them. I've sat in that chair and listened to only maybe 14 stories, but I speak to people every day. I hear their stories. I'm making films, I'm making documentaries, and lots of that conversation doesn't see the light of day. So this is a good excuse, especially for myself, just to sit down and kind of understand people a little bit more, understand the person that I'm really interested in and intrigued in a little bit more, and I get so much value from that. I'm learning all of the time from people, and I'm kind of just intrigued. I have no agenda. I sit down, I don't have any notes. It's just pretty much from the heart and from my mind as to where the conversation goes. That's all you've got, really, is who you are, truly deeply who you are, and being honest and open to that. And I'm very grateful for people to sit here and tell their story. I have had lots of people ask me, Dan, you should sit here and tell your story. And I've said to them as well, I think, I will at some point, but to be honest, I don't think I'm ready for this. I don't think I'm ready to sit down and tell my full true story, because of certain hang-ups and issues that I don't think I have, because I'll sit and tell people in a room. What I feel is we hold back because of society and how society kind of treats us from who we are. And we all try and fit in, and we all try and adapt and amend. My line of work, I've got to be a chameleon in the room. I've got to understand somebody in 3 minutes just to kind of gain that trust and that sort of confidence within them to trust me, because I have a job to do, because there's people behind me paying me to do something, whereas this is a freedom. I can be who I want to be and be who I truly am. And isn't that what everybody wants? Is that everybody should want that? And I think everybody does want that, but we've got to hold back because of certain ideals people have, certain ideals society has. And I can say, for example, putting Danny's clip up a few weeks ago, Danny Dawood, who's is a wheelchair rugby champion, and he has a story, and it's a true story. And putting a clip up on YouTube mentioned the fact that his mum decided to go through with the pregnancy and not terminate. Those two words there kind of got flagged the clip up on YouTube, and it wasn't allowed out. I got 0 views. So I went back, well, I'm just going to experiment with this, because this is the issue we all have at the minute, is freedom of speech. You should be able to put something out there which is going to help and benefit others, and it's a natural conversation as well. Plus also, it's not a bad conversation. But because an algorithm doesn't like two words in the same sentence together, it lumps it in with other things which could be negative. Well, it's not negative. This is positive. This is his story. This is what happened. This is fact. You can't deny these facts. So why is that getting flagged just because a machine doesn't like these two words put into a sentence? So what I did, I cut that first sentence out and then started without these two words just as an experiment. I put it up there, and well, within 4 hours it's had like over 650 views. So therefore now I feel I've got to edit the true content and the true conversations I'm having, which aren't negative, they are facts and they are true, and this is what happened to this person, and this is a conversation we will all have behind closed doors. But putting it out there into a platform which you check all the boxes, this is not for children, this is not for, this is, you take all of the boxes you're supposed to take, but it still gets flagged and it gets buried, and that to me is a problem. And that to me is doing this Storyland and not being able to put it out there kind of defeats the purpose. So, because all I want to do is make this work and build something which I know for a fact, because I've spoken to people face to face, that it has a positive effect. People like this, people want to hear this, people want more of this, and hopefully that will grow into a platform where I'm just sitting behind here. I'm just the orchestrator of this platform. That's it. Through intrigue and interest, finding people's stories, reaching out to people, getting people on who want to share their story. And that's all I can do, really. And it's hard because we're all looking for a way of doing something that we're passionate about, but we've also got to pay the bills and pay for the thing that happens, because I'm setting this up in community centres because I want everything to be community based and have a purpose. These two words I keep coming back to: community purpose, community purpose. And if I stay on this track, then I am true to myself and true to what I want to do with this. So this is the reason why I show the background. I do time lapses of the setups, and it's nice to do something for the community in a community space. We all bounce around community words. People love the word community. Companies especially, they love the idea of community, and they have the money and the agenda and the narrative but they don't really. It doesn't really get the recognition it does get, and the people doing these things, like running men's mental health workshops, they don't really get the recognition, and they don't really get the funding that they should get, just to kind of put their time and effort into doing something good. And as I've mentioned before, as Chris Nicholas from Ice Guys says, good people doing good things. That's it. That is it. So I want to do this. I want to be in that bunch of people who is able to put this out there, use my skill set and my passion to show people, good people doing good things, and get the story out, so other people might think, actually, yeah, I've gone through that. I didn't realize how to get through it, and I'm in the fog at the minute, or I'm struggling with this at the minute, or I didn't really know how to get to there, and somebody else can get to there. Maybe I'll reach out to them and find them. And this is what it's about. It's connection and community, and it's people. And since time began, everyone has a story. Everyone started somewhere. And that's all I want this to be, is that, So I wanted to sit down because I have the opportunity. I'm sitting here in Durham Community Centre, and I Becca Thompson was going to come down, and she's just kind of cancelled at the last minute, which the reason is, I mean, as I'm just sitting down looking at my phone, checking all my messages to make sure that she hasn't come back to me, that her partner has had a serious injury, recently, and he has a brain injury. So she's messaged, and I'm like, selfishly going, oh, can you come down and can we make this work, and what's the issue, because some people just get a bit scared to kind of tell the story, which I get, it's voluntary. So, and all I do is find a space, arrange a meeting, pay for the space as well via my own means, and set it up so I can kind of interview people. But then she came back that they're trying to find him because he's got a brain injury and he's gone missing. So that I really wanted to mention that this is what people are going through every day. And I'm sitting here trying to do a thing, and she's got a much more important problem which she's got to resolve. So imagine that. That's life, and that's the whole point in Storyland here. I wanted to say that as well. That's the whole point in this. Somebody is out there now looking for their partner. Their family members are all looking out for him because he's kind of gone missing, because he's got a recent brain injury. And that life-changing moment has shifted their every day. And what is that? The path can go left or right. And she's already had, her own journey. And that's the whole reason why I wanted Becca on, is to talk about her story and her journey. And now this has been thrown at her through no fault of anyone's. And now she's got something else to deal with. And some people don't get anything to deal with. But some people get a lot to deal with. So, I mean, and what is that as well? What is that to deal with, And how do you cope with that to deal with? How do you manage with all of that to deal with? Family, kids, relationships, work, money, life, pressure. It's all part and parcel of every day, but that alone is sometimes a lot to handle as well. Some people take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and some people have a real bad time with it. But everybody has that story and has that journey, and that's a unique thing. So people sitting on this stool, talking about this, can put that out there, and then somebody like me sitting in that seat interviewing people, somebody out there, this could help them. I want to take this opportunity to sit and just do a little review of the people who I have been interviewing and who I have had on Storyland. And I just want to start with Craig Tampton. And Craig, I made a film, Craig Ice Guy, and I met via Ice Guys as well. And Craig is a guy who's completely changed his life, and go and watch his episode to find out who Craig is and what he's about. But what I wanted to say is to kind of pick up on individual things I took away from people's stories personally. And for me, Craig, there's a lightness in him. There's a lightness in his eyes. There's a lightness in who he is, because he's told his story so many times that that weight has been lifted off his shoulders. And I recognize that, and I've seen that. And it's quite an envious thing to have, is to have that likeness. And I know for a fact he's not carrying any baggage, although everyone still goes through things day to day. He's let that, it's almost like you've let your secrets out and you're just 100% true and honest with yourself and who you are. And there's, I can see it in people's faces, I can see it in people's eyes, the way they stand and look at you, the way they come across, not hiding behind anything, not hiding behind a persona or personality. And for me, it's such a powerful thing. And I took a lot from that from Craig. There's just, he's sitting here telling his story and what he's been through, mentioning he has shame about things and mentioning he has issues still about things. And there's always that guilt trip, isn't there, about things that you've done in the past. But you have to accept you've done it. You might not be the same person you are now. I've probably changed about 5 times over in my lifetime with who I am now, but you just being who you are, being who you truly want to be is a powerful thing. And for me, Craig is that. So Craig, yeah, it's a bit emotional, Craig, because you know you kind of you got to us on that one, and it's, yeah, to have that, yeah, I think everyone should be a bit more like Craig. Yeah. Abby Potts, number 2. Abby, my hat goes off to you, girl. You, having walked into a hospital and came out in a wheelchair, you kind of change your whole persona in life for the better, and you have to admire that. You're not looking back, you're not sitting feeling sorry for yourself. You've gone on and put your head down and accepted what your life is now, and just grabbed the bull by the horns and kind of got on with it. Your relationship's better with your parents. You're involved in much more now than you ever would be. You've achieved so many more things. I'm in the middle of making a film about you with other wheelchair rugby athletes. And yeah, you're good, you're humorous, you're fun, you approach life with that good sense of humor, which everybody needs. We can all be serious and have a sense of humor. It's the same as anything. Someone dies and then you go to a wake, which is what it's called. Where you call it, like, some beige food on some table in a workman's club. Been to a few of them, and after the seriousness of the funeral, you'll sit and you'll start telling stories about, the time they did this, the time they did that, and the embarrassing moments, because those are the moments that you carry on with you in life. They'll be serious at the time, but those moments in life are the ones that you kind of, yeah, you carry forward, and those are the stories. They're always the bad memories. That's the good stories later on. So when you're in that bad moment, think of the good story later on, because I think that's the value in that. That's certainly a value in that. We do this all the time, in kind of, the world I'm in. It's, yeah, there's not a problem that can't be resolved, and Abby's certainly got that determination, that fire in the belly, and she's changed her life for the better. So hats off to you, Abby. Let's again be more like Craig, be more like Abby as well. Just go out and do it. Yeah. Reese, your story was fairly heavy. Being on the train tracks, wanting to end your life and not be around anymore. I get it. I understand that. I think a lot of us can. but he came out of it. And again, it's that mindset, and telling your story has massively helped you. I can see it has. Sharing your story, being open and honest about your story, you know. We don't have to break down and cry on, you know, platforms and do all that and have a public breakdown, but telling the story about what you've been through, what you've done, who you are now. There's kind of again, same as Craig, there's a weight lifted off your shoulders, because now it's out there and you've been honest about it, and you're not that person anymore. You're this person, you're a different person. So that's the positive from the negative thing that you've been through. But also, we don't have to have a really bad childhood and be homeless and on the streets, and it doesn't, to end up in a place where you don't want to be, or a dark place, or off the tracks a little bit of life, you know, you could have had a great childhood and a great upbringing. So yeah, he showed me that, and again, that lightness in who he is, and the ability to move forward and have purpose and be somebody, and stop doing all the things that you shouldn't do, you know. So yeah, Reese, hats off to you, Reese. And again, I'm probably going to say this about everybody: be more like Reese. Drew Graham, from being a champion runner and then being paralysed in a wheelchair, not being able to run. For me, I was just thinking, how the hell do you do that? How do you move forward from that? You know, what happens if I can't do what I want to do anymore? What do I do? How do you move on? There's a mental strength which Drew has, and he admits that there's dark times, there's dark places he's been, but he came through it, and he created the only disability gym in the Northeast. I mean, talk about doing something for purpose from something that happened to you, and moving on to something else. Just because this is what you're doing now doesn't mean to say you can be doing this forever. And don't feel bad about it, and don't feel the pressure of holding on for dear life with two hands, the things that you do. And I think Jenny mentioned this as well. It's kind of ease off a little bit, which I'm bad at doing, but see it as, okay, this is what's happening now, and move forward with that. You know, you've got the memories of the past, but you know, that's never going to go away. But what you can do is look forward and move on, you know, and Drew has done that hugely. And what he's going to do next year is he's looking to break, him and his team, the world record at the Great North Run, and hopefully I've got, you know, myself and the team of production team I've kind of built around this project off the back of Drew and his story. Hopefully we can kind of do something good and valuable and show people that, you know, what you can do, and that's his plan. And fingers crossed we can kind of make that work and get that made next year. Jenny Todd, love Jenny to bits. She hates a compliment. Don't you, Jenny? Yeah, she sent us a meme the other day about compliments, because I keep giving her compliments, because we're all bad. We hate receiving compliments. There's nothing worse. So just checking my mic's still on, because I'm moving around a lot and I'm still trying to check focus. But yeah, met Jenny, can't remember when, 7-8 years ago. Did a short film, 100%, about athletes who put 100% into things. This is when I was starting to cut my teeth on film work and stuff like that. Heads up to Ross Hannon, who filmed that and co-directed as well. and he's helped me massively with insights into Storyland and getting it off the ground. So I'll have to get you on, Ross. Jenny Todd pretty much introduced me to Donna Moore, and then we created a documentary which Jenny's in, which you can find online, Amazon, all the places. Done Strong, and Jenny's interesting. I love Jenny to bits because Jenny will tell you straight to your face. There's no hiding anything with Jenny, and that's what I love about Jenny. She's a great human being, and she doesn't hide it, and there's a freedom in that as well. And I was surprised at Jenny's story because you would never have thought that she was from where she's from, private school and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, a bit of a tomboy would, you know, I couldn't see her in a dress now. Certainly not, you know. She was in them DMs, ripped jeans, aren't you, Jenny? But Jenny Todd's just an absolute solid human being who's not afraid to change, who's not afraid to do things, who's not afraid to jump in both feet. And I've seen her truck pull, I've seen her pull a truck, push a truck, I've seen her do everything, right? She is a perfect example of time and effort, you know, and that will and that drive to do something. And now she's running. I'm like, what are you running for, Jenny? Do you know what I mean? Never thought she'd be running, but yeah, it's another thing. Somebody mentioned to her, and then she's like, okay, so she's doing that now. Her advice as well is not to get too caught up in one thing, because things will change and your life will move on. You'll be something different at some point in time, at some point in your life. You know, it's sort of like double down on it a bit, you know, and just kind of go with the flow and see where it takes you, because that's what life's about. It shouldn't be just one thing, because that's a bit boring, isn't it? You wouldn't listen to the same music all the time, would you? No. You wouldn't watch the same kind of films all the time, would you? No. But we put people in boxes so many times, and we just want people to do that constantly. It bugs me about that in my industry as well, because everybody's lots of different things, and why the hell can't you do other things as well? And the jack of all trades is a load of shit, by the way, you know. Try telling, you know, Clooney and George, you know, a million people who do this, Elon Musk, you know what I mean? Yeah, you can do a few things and be good at it. So crumple that one up and throw it in the bin, please. Thank you. Andy Stobbart. Andy's is possibly the hardest episode I've ever had to cut down and clip. I could have clipped every single sentence of what he said because everything had meaning to it and everything was from deep within him. And he is somebody who, I don't think there's nothing else you can throw at that guy. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't bounce off him now. Not to say that's easy for him, it isn't. It's people think that from the outside looking in. People I might say the same about me, but it's sort of sometimes gets to you, and it gets to Andy, but he's found ways of managing it. And again, he's like Jenny. He just calls out the bullshit. There's no hiding. And to go through what he goes through, he's great. And when I see him, you know, always a big hug. And, you know, I've talked to him multiple occasions, and it took me a year and a half to get to do something with Andy. And I'm so pleased he managed to sit down and we managed to get a time to sit and talk about who he is and what he's about, you know. Yeah, he can learn a lot from Andy, you know. I don't think your life's ever going to be as hard as that. But your issues are your own issues, and it's hard for you because that's all you know and that's what you go through. The hardest thing you've been through is the hardest thing you've been through, you know what I mean? And that kind of saying, which you probably heard a million times on all the podcasts. But yeah, it's that. Resilience. Andy wears it on his sleeve, on his arms, that he's self-harmed. he wears it, you know. So well done, Andy. Thank you. Danny. Oh, Danny DeWood. Right. Met Danny coaching the Barbarians via Abby and Drew and all those lovely people at the wheelchair rugby team. Phenomenal people. It's going to make a good film. I know that for a fact, right? Just telling their story is phenomenal. But Danny has a different story. Being born with brittle bones and pretty much broken when he comes out of the womb as a baby. I mean, what is that? What's that like? You're starting off life in a very, very bad position or a negative position, but Danny doesn't know any different. And I think that's the thing there. Danny doesn't know any different. And even though it broke him and he had sort of certain fractures, he managed to play for England, the wheelchair rugby team, getting a gold medal. I mean, you're trying to tell me that you can't do things. This is what I take from people when you think, oh, it's too hard, oh, I can't be bothered, oh, can I, you know, I know it's difficult, right? But have a look at other people and what they've achieved and what they can do. You know you can. And it's not bullshit. I'm not speaking bullshit, you know. But that little time and effort, that little push forward, that little motivation, that little moving, yeah. Just do it, man. Stop procrastinating. Get up off your bum and go and do it. Yeah. So, little message, personal from me. You can tell them it's personal from me. You know, I'm getting a bit projecting a bit, but yeah. Danny just went out and did it with a positive mindset. Put the fear to one side, went into the unknown. That's what it's about. You only live once. So what are you waiting for? Chris Nicholas. Chris, I have made films from Ice Guys. Chris has helped me connect with loads of people. Andy, the workshops I've filmed, State of Mind, all of my commercial website, Dan Prince, all of that stuff's on there. You can go and have a look, go and watch the films. It's, yeah. Thanks a lot, Chris. You've done a lot to connect me with people. You've been solid. I've stolen your phrase many times. Good people doing good things, but I always mention it came from you. So, yeah, I have to say that because it's not mine. I'm just using it because it means a lot, you know. And what you've done is just creating a men's mental health group, changing your whole life, changing what you do now, and it's all working out for the better. And the path is on the good side, on the increase of getting better as well. So I'm excited to see what happens with you in the future. And you're very much an open book. And there's no airs and graces, there's no bullshit about you, Chris. And yeah, it's sort of, you gotta love a guy for that, you know. And to sit and open his whole life and his heart and his emotions to me, who's wanting to put interviews on a platform, which for me is the value in it's huge. And yeah, thanks, Chris. I'll be speaking to you soon anyway. Been speaking to you a lot anyway lately, so yeah. Thanks, Chris. Frank Styles. I've heard of Frank. I've seen his murals all around Sunderland. He's kind of this figure who you're like, who's Frank Styles? You know, what's he look like? Yeah, you know I mean? But for me, people who you know in the area, He looks a spit of Richie Hood, by the way. Um, so Richie, if you're listening, he looks the other Dabs. He's got a beard, a different kind of shaped beard. But Frank Styles sort of walked in, didn't know what it kind of was, what I was doing as well. So, and I've got to admit, Frank, it was a tricky interview because sometimes people aren't just really open about talking about stuff, and if you're not sure of the intent and if you've never met anybody before, it's how do you gain the trust? So I found that through just that conversation and just going where I went, then that there was a mutual respect that came out off the back of that, and he learned a little bit about me as well. And I could just see it in him, who the kind of similar traits that I have, that he has, like the ADHD and stuff like that, being an artistic mind, being able to walk into a room and paint a picture. And it's tricky being in crowds because there's just so much coming at you. There's a lot of things I can kind of relate to. It is tricky and it is hard, and sometimes when you're like, you're looking down, you're just thinking, you're not being ignorant, you're just like, your mind's just going, bouncing off the walls and thinking about different things, and I've got 7 different things in my brain all the time. So I could say that in Frank. And I love who Frank is. Frank is true to his artistry, but the community-based stuff that he does do is, I take my hat off to Frank. You can hear when we start talking about the subject matter of what he paints and his artistry, that's who he is and that's what he's about. So for me, yeah, it was lovely just to kind of have a different tone on that one as well. It's very much different, but and shout out to Robbie Graham, Southport Dance Company, who let us use the space to record in there. I appreciate it, because it's always tricky to find spaces to kind of to interview. But yeah, Frank Styles, really genuine, creative, and if you go to Sunderland, you'll just see him in the area everywhere. The final of the 10 episodes, which is it a series? I don't know. Will it continue? Yes, it will. I've already recorded quite a few names. But Sam Beecroft, again, from the community of wheelchair rugby, a young lad, just motorbike enthusiast. I don't think kind of gives it justice to how much he likes motorbikes, and it's been part of his whole life, right? Then riding to work, a pigeon hits you, right? And then you can't walk again. Yeah, just saying that sentence, and I've said that sentence to a lot of people. How do you manage that? How do you deal with that? How do you come out of that? 1,000,001 questions. So that's why I want to sit down with Sam and talk about, I don't know what it is, British humour, Northern humour, whatever. Having your mates take the mick out, you calling you a pigeon. After you've been hit by a pigeon on a motorbike and now paralysed, and he doubles down on it. I mean, that's great. And I think that attitude is certainly a good one for people to see and to understand. And managing to get back on a bike, right? Finding a way of getting back on a motorbike. And he's ridden his bike again. Go and listen to his story. He's ridden his bike again. Paralysed. Yeah, he just wanted to get on that bike any means. He didn't care. Now his life has changed, but again, similar to Abby, he's not dwelling. He's just moving forward with it, and he's trying to do the things he wants to do and achieve the other things he wants to do, but he does it with a good sense of humour and a good outlook in life. But if you ever want to talk about bikes, I know Sam's the guy. Yeah, completely. Bikes and cars, and he's just got that in him, It's who he is. It's who he's been raised. He's been raised with bikes and his uncles and buying his first bike and all this kind of stuff. And I guarantee he'll be riding again a lot. And I just, yeah, intriguing to see what Sam's done. Because both him and Abby did the Great North Run for the first time. They've never done it before, and they've decided to do it in wheelchairs for the first time. So, again, be more like Sam, be more like Abby, be more like Reese, be more like all the people that I've had on so far, and hopefully more in the future. And yeah, if you want to help, reach out. If you want to get in touch, reach out. You can find it. It's easy peasy. Yeah, don't be shy, reach out. I'm here, I'm an open book. Happy to chat, happy to talk, happy to whatever you want to do, you know. Let's have another, see how we can kind of work together, help, collaborate, and make Storyland bigger and better, and have that voice of the people be heard, not just your celebs and your famous people, because they were normal at one point as well. So yeah, we're all just human beings. So yeah, join the community and share your story. Thank you.